Welcome to the Composer Challenge. In this challenge, composers will be given the same brief. Each composer will write a brand new piece of music on their own, then hear each other's work for the first time. Who will nail the brief? Will someone take a totally unexpected turn, or will one of them completely miss the mark? Let's find out in the Composer Challenge. Adam, welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel about what we're going to do with this?
It's going to be fun, I think, but also quite daunting.
I think this is it for now, Adam. I will see you when we're both done.
Sounds good. See you soon.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this brief.
Notes to use. Okay, so we have notes that we need to use.
C, D, E flat, A flat, B.
Mood is going to be dystopian, vista, which I presume means kind of big and open, cinematic and sparse.
Track length around 45 seconds.
Libraries to use: photosynthesis, nucleus, chorus, dolce, light, and trailer guitars too.
Start and end in different keys.
So I have a simple piano, something that I can sketch with or write some notes on. I'm interpreting it as we have to use those notes. So if we want to use other notes, we can.
I'm going to just start with some sort of drone.
There's so many different ways. Kind of all of these are working because they're all in the same key together. To a certain extent, they all work no matter which way we blend them. So maybe we just choose one randomly. I'm going to play one in, and that's the one we're going to use. That's our one.
I think I need some sort of main motif or something.
Cool. So where do we go from here? Well, I don't know, but sometimes when you're composing and you don't know where to start or exactly what to do, it's good just to set yourself some arbitrary kind of constraints. And that's a constraint that I'm thinking of using here is we have a set of libraries that we have to use. Let's just use one instrument if we can from each library. Maybe soundscapes is a way to go. Dark sky, that sounds pretty dystopian to me. Instant cinema. I like it already. So let me just play C, since we're starting in C, and see what we think. So I like to put synths and textures and things like that into sort of this orange color. But it doesn't matter. That's just me doing the housekeeping. So I'm thinking adding some processing to this. It sounds kind of odd. I'm going to use some movement here. Let's use something like a shimmer.
Might be cool to get some cellos playing this melody, or maybe French horns low down, and then we build up. And then there's actually the cello in photosynthesis. Maybe we can use some textures from that. I mean, it'll do for now. It's questionable in some parts, I'm not sure, but this is the creative process.
Dolce sounds beautiful. It's kind of too beautiful. Let's just try a ring modulator. We have one in Cubase here. We can sort of blend the mix here. That's nice because we have some of the organic nature of the strings, but we have all this crazy stuff going on.
I think I'm going to change the melody as well. I'm not really keen on that. The chords I'm liking. I just don't like that movement. Not E major, that's terrible. Maybe E flat minor. Okay, maybe that's where we're landing.
I like the way you have this B over the A flat. Definitely change key at that point. I'm going to try an idea with nucleus. I'm hearing, let's just say something that's mildly inspired by Alien Jerry Goldsmith. So I'm going to load up beautiful sounding flutes, and I'm going to do this with them. Delay, and I'm going to not sync it. That's quite cool, but I think I just want slightly slower delay. That's cool. I quite like that it's almost slightly out of time.
Maybe. We'll keep it in for now. Might get rid of it. Kind of sounds a bit weird, to be honest. think we can have a pulse that's moving.
Let's do some housekeeping and call this nucleus to flutes. I like to capitalize. Gives me the vague impression that I'm in control of my life. This is cool. It's getting kind of dark and dystopian. I think it's Vista-like. You know, you can imagine this being like a space Vista or something. It's sort of moving in that direction of dystopian sci-fi, but I think that fits the brief still.
All right, here we are, different day, same track. I've got a feeling that I'm going to need to simplify this. From what I remember, the melody's quite busy. And one of the things in the brief, it says sparse. I have a feeling that it could be better. And I like the chords, the melody that I'm unsure of. I think the melody can be simpler, and I'm thinking quiet. Yeah, I'm just thinking like really slow like that. Yeah, this is way better already. I can tell just the vibe is there. The vibe is there, and vibe is everything.
Maybe we can just have this end, do something crazy at the end, like completely mess around with the track, slow it down, pitch it down or something. So we're kind of ending almost like a weird sound design, like a tape stop or something like that, because we have to end in a different key. We have to have it 45 seconds. I think I'm going to end quite abruptly, almost like a film cue. I really like the way these strings have turned out. You know, like we've taken Dolce and we have made it the least Dolce-like sound that we can make. Hearing something like this. Again, we'll have to play around with the time. Yeah, this is quite cool. I'm quite enjoying this.
Need some like hits, maybe timpani roll, nothing too much, but just missing that kind of thing at the moment, I think. And in the intro, because we now don't have a low instrument, we can maybe do some cello textures. I'm hearing like a pad that bends here, I think. Thinking distort it and make it ambient. All right, we need to add some sub-booms from Nucleus. I like the attack on this one, but I might just get rid of the low end and just have it as a layer.
So we just need to use chorus, maybe the slow syllables. Instantly sound incredible, but I'm thinking, let's take these down inside of contact by 2 octaves. It's pretty cool. And I love, like, it's still got this human quality, like the syllables. This may sound a bit odd, but I think we can make this work. Almost want everything else to go and maybe just have that, or like I think I know what I might want to do. I'm going to try something.
Sorry about that awful delay from the screen recording, which is causing this to just sound like I can't play at all.
I think we need more space on these guitars. And I think, hey, I think we want them on the flutes as well. We haven't used any tempo map in here, which is kind of criminal. But I think fun to work this way sometimes.
I had this synth pluck before. I think rather than going up, it needs to go down. And I'm thinking double timing everything.
Going to do some final bits here, I think now, just to end this cleanly so it doesn't just fade out or end in a dissatisfying way. So I just added a bunch of notes to the end of this piece in the Dark Skies our pad, our photosynthesis pad. They're all a bit weird and clashing and odd sounding, but that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going to add a simple pitch shifter plugin to quite a lot of these sounds, and I'm going to ramp it down at the end. Yeah, I think that's going to work. We need to some more work with it, but you can see how it's creating a sense of an ending, like a discordant, weird ending. Let's put this on the chorus syllables as well, but let's pitch it up slowly. I think we'll call that finished.
Okay, so I've just done a few things. I've done a bit of mastering now just to finish it, just to get it loud enough, because I know Adam is going to master his loud. He always does, so I've got to compete with that. Main thing I've changed is towards the end. Yeah, I've just added in a bit more movement, and it builds up to all this moving here. I think that's me done with this track. I'm going to leave it here. Okay, here we are, the finish line. Don't know anything about each other's tracks except for that we had the same brief. Just looking at the waveforms, you know, the one thing I will say, Adam, is that I was thinking, you know, Adam usually masters really loud, so I've got to make sure mine is loud. And then looking now, I think I've gone quite a bit more aggressive. But
yeah, I didn't do much mastering, so maybe you're going to beat me on this one, on the loudness wars. I like that a lot. That is very cool, very dark, very cinematic. You've gone full grandiose there, which I love.
I think I read the brief slightly differently to you. I think just based on looking at the waveforms, I think when I read sparse, I was thinking, oh, like really, like, you know, not like a really all over the place melody, not a big pulse or anything. And so I kept it like quite a kind of sparse, like 2-note melody at a time. It is throughout the same notes, but like underneath the chords are changing a little bit and then eventually modulates and lands, I think, on E flat major.
This is what's so interesting, is how we interpret certain aspects and what, you know, each composer thinks is important about the brief. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what composers pick up on.
Let's go to your track now. I'm looking forward to hearing
Cool.
this. Those flutes. Dude, that is so cool. There's like these flutes in there, right? Like
yeah, the little delayed flutes. Yeah,
it's like Jerry Goldsmith vibes, Alien, something like that. A little bit.
It's good you picked up on that, because I mentioned that in when I was doing it. I mentioned that was a bit of a reference. So.
What is that main instrument playing the melody or the notes?
It's the trailer guitar. I used the clean, but I processed it slightly inside of the door.
Very cool.
It's all based on that. Personally, I did that. I was thinking, because it said sparse and we had these libraries, I set myself the personal internal challenge of just using one instrument per library. So
nice.
That was my little thing, is just to try and make something that was more textural, use one instrument per library, sort of challenge myself to try and make something that's sounded quite big with that kind of relatively minimal, you know, sort of sonic palette.
That's awesome. And also interesting, the first 4 notes of your melody, out of the notes we could have chosen, are the exact same order that I did as well.
That is interesting. I did notice that. Yeah, it was great to hear how you interpreted the brief and how you used those notes and rearranged them, you know, from one sort of melodic cell to the next. That was really cool. And yeah, I took a similar approach, but slightly different approach of like finding, this kind of little series of pitches that worked, and then just kind of repeating them, but changing the sort of bass note underneath, and each time it made a slightly different sort of effect.
It was super cool, super eerie. And that's the interesting thing, right? The brief didn't say anything about creepy or eerie, but you went that sort of way. Right? That's super interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting what we picked up on, and yours was a bit more, not so much epic, but you definitely had kind of more of a thematic structure, and it built sort of more satisfyingly towards the end. Mine was a bit more kind of I suppose ambiguous and ethereal, so it's cool, because when yours first started, you sort of did this roughly the same thing as I'd done with a kind of intro pad, and I was like, have we done a very similar thing here?
The same notes.
20 seconds later, I was like, no, Tom's definitely done something different here.
Hopefully for anyone who's watching this, I think it can show you that if you're working with any kind of client or on any project, if you don't have specifics figured out with your client, and you just have a couple of words like we did, you can really interpret it completely differently to what they actually want.
100%. And it's so interesting because, like you said, it also speaks to, this is exactly why you want lots of different composers with lots of different voices. Because, like you said, we had a relatively minimal brief, but nevertheless, we interpreted it quite different ways. And we picked up on different things. It was really interesting that you said this kind of, the sparseness was in the way you sort of used the notes in the melody and kept them quite sparse. Whereas I took it more as a kind of challenge to keep the actual arrangement sparse and worry less about the density of notes and so on. But it's just testament to how important creativity is, and how we interpret things, and how each person brings their own voice to something. And those subtle differences is, what makes each individual person's music so interesting.
This has been fun, Adam. This has been really, really fun. And
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. And I hope for anyone who's watching this, I hope you found this insightful, enjoyable, and I'm really curious to see, once this video is edited together, to see our processes as we're talking about it. I think that's going to be really cool to look back on. Yeah, if you like this video, please let us know in the comments, and we will be doing more challenges like this in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.